Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. I really appreciate you taking out time to check out this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You know the drill, so thank you in advance. Now, being a born in the 80s, raised in the 90s kid, we had a lot of game shows that were tailored to, our specific interests and things of that nature. They all had kind of a similar formula. There were some teams of sorts, or there was like a, four people, everybody going for themselves, but the goal was to answer questions, complete some sort of physical challenge, and then you got your share of, BK Ratchet Tech shoes or some Casio keyboards or some Funkin' Wagnall encyclopedias. And of course they have video games based on that. So this is the first of a few games that were based on game shows that I watched and wanted to be on as a kid. The first one is Double Dare for the NES. Special shout out to Battleship Boyd again for helping me out, getting some footage and, turning a friendly video game reminiscent session into some deep competition, right? So the way Double Dare works in its essence is you answer questions, and if you don't know the answer to a question, you can dare or double dare your opponent. They can answer it, increasing their points, or they can, pass it back to you. And if it goes too many times, then you go to a physical challenge. But then also to start the game, there's a physical challenge, and to see who is going to take over starting the second half of the game is a physical challenge. And that's where as kids we wanted to be at, right? We always wanted to dare and double dare. Some of the questions are, history, science, pop culture, things that, at the time, if you're like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you probably don't know the answer to, but every once in a while, there'll be a couple of them you can pull out, right? So this game, it asks the questions, and of course, if you own the game and you played it enough, you would have known 90% of the answers, right? Because there's only so many that's going to be stored in this NES cartridge. But the fun part, of course, is the physical challenges. For example, there's one where you're having to golf eggs into a hole. Now, the thing that this game does, which a lot of games back in the day did, is when the mini games come up, unlike, let's say, the Mario Party series or like Fusion Frenzy, they'll tell you, this is how you play. Well, these games, they assumed you had the book, and because most of us didn't have the book, you had to figure out on the fly how to play. So that includes, mashing buttons for the first 5 to 10 seconds of the 30-second game of you just trying to figure out what to do before you try to figure out how to win. So I played this back in the day. It was like some games require you to use the buttons like A or B, and then some of them require you to use the D-pad like left or right or up and down, like back and forth. So you got to figure out what you got to do. But the games are usually pretty fun. They had stuff like the basketball game where, of course, I'm ready for that because basketball is my thing. That's one of my favorite sports. So trying to figure out how to do that, getting the speed and the angle right. And the meter is always the same. So once you figure out where the sweet spot is, it's just you trying to hit it over and over. So it's not really too hard. Now, some of the games are a little more varied, like throwing the banana into the gorilla's hand. So not only do you have to throw it at the right spot, but you have to throw it at the right time with the right speed so it lands perfectly there. And we got cooked for a while. And this was one of the few games that didn't have a timer. So we just had to play until someone won, which, took a lot longer than it should have. But at the end of 2 rounds, whoever wins gets to go through the obstacle course. And basically in the live action show, when you did the obstacle course, the kid, based on how far they got was how many prizes they got. So, they would always start something simple, like the first level you get, you get a flag. It'll be like Nerd's Rope. Then it would be like, oh, you got a cool Walkman, which, was very important back then because we didn't have phones that had all our music stored to it. So needed a musical device. Then you start to go over into the higher end prizes like a bike or a keyboard. And then like if you got like the ultimate prize, which like no kid ever really did except for like once, maybe depending on the show, be like they got a vacation for the family and all that, which was funny because these shows are always filmed at like Universal Studios, which means that the people were already on vacation. So it seemed kind of, redundant, but anyway, that's just me being jealous that I was never able to go on any of these shows. But it was cool that they made games based on these shows because that was like our way of being able to, pretend even more that we were on these shows, which I know sounds kind of sad the more I say it out loud, but trust me, we were having fun. It was a good time. It was what we were here for. It was enjoyable, right? So I wanted to highlight this one, and I'm going to highlight a few other ones, but I wanted to start with something like Double Dare to kind of warm you up to some of the the better kid games, game show games. Look at that. So many shows and games and shows put together. Now, if you are familiar with Double Dare, which means you are at least as old as me, if not older, then I'd like to hear from you. What were your favorite memories of these game shows? Or even if you had the game, and what was your favorite physical challenge? Also, again, this was supposed to be a friendly competition, but Steven needed to, push it a little bit. So he tried to win a couple times. He was going a little try hard, but that's okay. Okay, I appreciate the effort. But I appreciate y'all letting me reminisce with you. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe.